along with the Canon RF 35mm f1.4 LUSM and the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. Canon will be announcing the RF 24mm prime f1.4 LUSM and the RF 50mm f1.4 L image stabilized USM. My source goes on to say that the RF 50mm f1.4 will be released between May and July. And all three of these lenses will be released with video features. Now my source didn't specify exactly what these video features would be, but Canon Rumors had this to say. We've been told that the video features are to do with autofocus modes. There will be new ways to use the autofocus and manual focus on the upcoming prime. And here Canon's referring to that 35mm f1.4. Canon Rumors goes further saying that there will be customization in camera settings as well as on the lens. And the new ways to control autofocus and manual focus in the upcoming prime, those customizations in camera as well as on the lens, well, I covered those in Canon patent filing JP 2024-04-2239. The patent application was filed on September the 15th, 2022, and published just recently on March the 28th, 2024. And while my new source didn't tell me what the video features would be of these three new lenses, the source did direct me to, well, the RF 24-105 f2.8 to give me an idea of what those video features are, though it won't support Canon's new power zoom adapters that were released or at least announced alongside the RF 24-105 f2.8. I mean, can you imagine trying to adapt those new power zoom adapters onto a small lens such as the 24mm prime? And even though it's going to be an L series, it's not going to be very big. It's not going to fit those power zoom adapters. I could just imagine trying to use duct tape to get them to fit. And I know it's a silly idea because obviously it's not going to have the mounts on it or the port, so that's kind of a silly thing. But excluding the power zoom adapter, again, taking a look at the 24-105 f2.8, one of the things it gets, which is really beneficial to video shooters or for stills photographers that are shooting in very quiet venues, such as libraries or even weddings, and that's having near silent operation. But the other video capability that the 24-105 came out with that is a really big deal, and this can benefit photographers as well, and that's that parfocal zooming, which is the capability to move through the lens's focal range while maintaining focus on the subject or object. And this is not to be confused with parfocal cinema lenses, which cost considerably more than the recently announced Canon RF 24-105 f2.8. Chuck Westall of Canon USA sums up this capability very well. The 24-105L is deemed as a parfocal lens. There's a cam inside the 24-105mm lens. That's designed to maintain accurate focus when the lens is zoomed in from telephoto to wide. So, how accurate is this source of mine? Well, when the source first contacted me, I didn't see any red flags, but I wanted to try to get a bit more information from the source to be able to see if I could identify any red flags. I've received lots of information from sources before, and a lot of them come across as, well, somebody who's making up information or passing along information from somebody else that hasn't been validated. I didn't get that sense here at all. And in fact, before I published yesterday's video about the sensor for the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, where this source told me about that again, that it's going to be a 45 megapixel stacked full frame sensor that's backside illuminated, a whole new sensor, not just taking the old sensor and making some minor modifications. This is a 45 megapixel all new full frame stacked sensor. And what I did behind the scenes is I had another source that, while they don't provide me necessarily information all the time, they are able to nod and say, yeah, you got that right, or no, you got that wrong. And in the case of the Canon R5 Mark II, I was told that that information is correct. And the information that I'm telling you about here today of these three new lenses, the 35mm f1.4, the 24mm, and the 50mm f1.4, I'm told that that information is correct as well. And I'm happy to get out to market with this information. So I do believe my source. I do believe this source is trusted. And I really do appreciate this source reaching out to me. This is the second source in the last 4 months. And for a channel of my size to be able to be able to develop a source, and as I've told you guys in the past before, to actually get sources, it's not like you just start cold calling and trying to get sources. It doesn't work that way. They have to trust you, and they have to reach out to you to provide you with information. So a big thanks to all the sources that have reached out to me in the last little while. It's very much appreciated. And if you are a potential source out there and you have information you want to share with me, and you feel careful doing so, I can promise you that I will protect your identity. I won't give out the information of who you are, indicate it in any way whatsoever. And if you are providing me with information, I recommend not telling me anything to begin with in terms of who you are. Just set up a dummy email address and then reach out to me at simondyates@gmail.com, this address right here. But again, without the announcement, nothing is 100% validated. Nothing ever is. Things can always change, but when it comes to at least the sensor in the R5 Mark II, that's not going to change. The lenses, well, Canon could do something. For example, maybe they're having a huge problem with the supply and they decide to just announce 2 of the lenses. But again, according to my source, the 50mm f1.4, that is a May to June timeframe, so it sounds like that one's going to be available a little bit later than the other 2. But I want to turn my attention back to Canon rumors because, well, Canon rumors has talked about some of these lenses in the past. Canon rumors has had that 24mm on their roadmap since, well, November of 2020. And it's still there, being updated in late 2023. And this roadmap, everything you see in green here, everything you see in green has come to pass. And only those items in white haven't. And the only lens that I talked about today that isn't on Canon rumors roadmap is the RF 50mm f1.4. Oh, and by the way, did I already mention this? I can't remember if I did, but that 24mm f1.4 L series USM, it's not image stabilized. I think I might have said it before, but sometimes when it gets into editing, I actually delete certain things out because there's mistakes. So if I've mentioned it already, my apologies. But again, a big thanks to all my sources because you're really helping me grow this channel. All my viewers tuning in really appreciate firsthand information instead of just providing analysis and opinion on what other sites such as Canon Rumors are reporting on. So it's very exciting to me, and I take this trust that your trust in me, it means an awful lot to me, so thank you very much. All right, so now let's go back to the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. In a previous post by Canon Rumors, Craig said that the Canon EOS R5 Mark II is going to be announced sometime between May the 21st and May the 23rd. So it's in that kind of last week of May. And I've also heard from another source who told me at a major retailer that indeed Canon is getting ready for a major announcement, or this retailer is getting ready for a major Canon announcement. And we know that to be the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. The only question is, what is the exact date and time? The 21st? 22nd, 23rd? Is it going to be 10 in the morning, midnight? We just don't know. I would really like to see, you know what, I don't know. I really do like these midnight announcements, although I'm quite often very tired after a few hours. But I am really looking forward to this. And we know we're about a month away right now. So with today being the 21st, well, 22nd as you're watching this, we are a month away from the announcement of the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. That's why I have the smart pre-order links in the description down below. These guys right here for Adorama, B&H, because when we get an announcement that this camera is going to sell really, really well. Based on what I've been told, there's certain information I can't tell you because sometimes other sources or other channels or websites will tell me information to see if it's validating against what I'm hearing. And of course, I won't talk about their stuff until they publish. But one thing I can tell you is that the announcement is coming soon, but most likely what usually happens is when we get the announcement, as soon as that announcement time clicks over, pre-orders are available. But quite often what Canon will do, especially when there's multiple lenses, they'll announce the R5 Mark II body alone. Then they might have a few kit packages. And then Adorama will likely put in their own kit packages with memory cards, with camera bags, or giving you an option with different lenses at different prices. So that happening at Adorama, that happening at B&H, and you can find often quite quickly you're going to have multiple pre-order links, and every second it takes for you to commit to pre-ordering, well, you might be waiting months. Just look at the RF 200 to 800 millimeter. People that pre-ordered on the day it was announced, once the pre-order was available, are still waiting for it. And Kathy just finally canceled it, realizing, you know what, I'm just going to put all my funds to the R5 Mark II. So what my pre-order links essentially do is they save you a few seconds. Go ahead and bookmark these, put them in your browser. I'm going to be doing a live stream, so as soon as the pre-orders are available, I'm going to guide you through the whole process. I'm going to have multiple guests on my live stream, people from Canada, the United States, Europe, Australia, that are going to talk about, we're going to spend the first 90 minutes talking about what we would do if we were the head of Canon, what we would do with our imaging department, what we would do with lenses, third party and all that stuff. And we talk about the latest leaked specifications at that time, leaked images and pricing. And then as soon as we kick over and do the announcement follows, we're going to follow that announcement live. And then hopefully, I'll have maybe at least one person on who's got firsthand experience with those, lenses and cameras that can come onto the channel, talk about their experience of using it once that embargo is lifted. And of course, as soon as the pre-order is available, we'll let you know. And you're going to be getting feedback from people following all over the world. I expect to have over 1,000 concurrent peak users watching or viewers watching, because this is going to be the biggest camera announcement of the year. It's going to be bigger than the Canon EOS R1. And the R1 is going to be a big announcement, but there's going to be a much larger market for the R5 Mark II. And for Nikon customers who have the Nikon Z8, this is really going to help give them an idea of what they can expect to see in the Nikon Z8 Mark II. And of course, Panasonic customers, it gives them an idea as well. And same with Sony customers. Now, one thing I wanted to mention, talking about deals of the week, as it's now the first day or the second day of the week, I told you about a whole bunch of Sony deals on the A7S III, $300 off the A7 IV, $200 off the A7 R5, $400 off, and just found out that the FX3, that's right, the FX3, a video-centric version of the video-centric A7S III, is several $100s off, as is the FX30. And of course, if you're tuned in because you want to pick up something Canon, but the R5 Mark II is going to be a little bit too expensive for you, well, then you might want to consider picking up the Mark I. It's currently $31.99 at Adorama, B&H, and Amazon.com. And Adorama is even willing to toss in a 128 gigabyte CF Express Type B card, as well as a card reader. So all that for $31.99. Now let's talk about the price of the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. We're going to talk a little bit about foreign exchange rates, because looking at 2020 and 2024, the Japanese yen has shed something like 40% of its value. That's a huge difference. So what does that mean? Well, obviously imports are going to cost more, but exports are more affordable. And while cameras do use a lot of materials, so those imports are going to, the imported materials, well, they're going to have to pay a little bit of a premium for that. So getting right to the point, if we look at the R6 as an example, announced at the exact same time as the R5 Mark I, it was $24.99. And then about 3 years later, or 2.5 years later, when the R6 Mark II was announced, guess what? The exact same price, $24.99. That's not because Canon was feeling a little bit generous and because they thought, let's give a break to our customers. No, this is an organization that has shareholders, and it's about driving maximum value to those shareholders while still trying to provide a superior customer experience. Now, it's because of that drop in the Japanese yen. So if we take that again, well, the Japanese bank, central bank, has actually kind of they've changed their, the central bank has changed their monetary policy. For the first time, they've raised their rates in about 14 years. It's not a lot, but it's significant. But still, the currency is still down significantly. So I would expect the R5 Mark II to be pretty close to its original price of $38.99. And I know what you're thinking. It's going to have a stacked sensor. They cost more. Very good. So taking a look at the Nikon Z8, which was released just last year, it has a price of $39.96, essentially $4,000. And because Nikon and Canon have been in competition for many, many years, I mean, they're constantly leapfrogging each other. They see each other as their direct rival. And at one point, Nikon was sitting on top of the market with something like 65% market share to Canon. Well, tables have turned, but that traditional sense of rivalry hasn't gone away. We're not going to see the price of the Canon EOS R5 Mark II that much different than the Nikon Z8. So I would predict a price of around $39.99. Canon could go $40.99, but I don't expect a price much higher than that. It doesn't make any sense. Canon's not going to price this out of the reach based on what we're seeing in current market prices. And if you are interested in purchasing the Canon EOS R5 Mark I, any of the Sony cameras, lenses, and equipment, I'm not kidding you. Just go ahead and take a look at the deals. Use my affiliate links down below. Take a look at the deals at B&H or Adorama, whichever store you prefer, or Amazon, and you're going to see huge deals on lenses. It's not just camera bodies across the landscape. it's a great time to buy a camera if you're not willing to pay the top price. It actually makes the R5 a lot more affordable to people who, well, couldn't afford to spend $4,000, especially in countries outside of, well, the United States, where that exchange rate also impacts us. So another thing, if you want to try to figure out what the price is going to be in your own local currency, Europe in euros, UK in pounds, Australia in dollars, New Zealand in dollars, then just go ahead and go onto Google, do a currency check, look to see where your dollar was or your currency was back in 2020, and then you just want to see the delta. Where is it today? Has it lost or gained? If it's lost or gained, then you can expect to see the price of the R5 Mark II in relation to the price of the R5 Mark I by that delta. Unless, of course, your country has instituted tariffs or other taxes, and I'm in Canada and they just passed the budget. Next year is the election year, but what we're seeing right now is, you see this in a lot of countries when it comes to elections, and I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but you see this a lot. You see governments promising us so many different things with our money, and the amount of money that's being spent right now is starting to scare me a little bit. I'm one of those people who's been very good managing their finances, and it literally scares me as to what I see here. So they're saying, vote for us and we'll give you all this stuff with your own money, which means, of course, they have to raise taxes. So anyhow, that's my problem, and for 5% of those of you watching out there, it's your problem too. But I want to say a special thanks for all of you that are still watching right now, watching till the end of the video. Thank you so much. We're going to get an awful lot of news coming up starting Monday. So, sorry, not Monday, Tuesday. I'm recording this today on Sunday, so you're watching this on Monday. But starting today, maybe Canon Rumors has come out with something already, but I can guarantee you, you're going to expect an awful lot of coverage. You're going to expect an awful lot of leaks, specifications regarding the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, discussions about these lenses, other lenses, the R1. So whether you subscribe or not, you want to pay close attention to content on my channel as well as Canon Rumors. It looks like we're both now reporting from our own independent sources, but we also kind of validate each other too. So when it comes to Canon news and rumors, if you follow my channel here, follow me on Twitter, as well as following Canon Rumors, you're going to have a really good idea of what to expect in the last week of May with a Canon announcement, the big announcement for the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, a bunch of lenses, and some sort of development announcement or some sort of announcement for the Canon EOS R1. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Are you happy? Are you excited? Well, stay tuned. We'll see you again soon.